What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host. And alert the authorities. Somebody. Bolo, be on the lookout. There is a mangy wolf loose in Los Angeles. And this critter, has already attacked and injured Super Kupp. And what did I tell you? What did I tell you? You want to start the Wolford at QB over Bryce Perkins. And this mangy wolf has now injured Super Cooper Kupp. And Soup is now out, down, and out. Did you see these awful throws the Wolf made? He's now out for probably the rest of the season. McGenius is saying, well, it's 4 to 8 weeks and we'll see if we can bring him back. Bring him back for what? Why would you bring Soup back at this point? The season is done. The Rams are overcooked and well done. Tough as leather. And I told you, I've been warning you all season long. And my fears have come to pass, ladies and gentlemen. And so now the season is officially over. And all I can really say is it didn't take Nostradamus to see this coming. It's hard being right all the time, but I've been right about this subject. And so now, with LA going down to defeat at the hands of the Arizona Cardinals, who also did not have their starting quarterback. But what they did have was a capable backup quarterback. In fact, the Cardinals' third string, the backup to the backup, is better than the Wolford. The Wolford is a bum. I've been telling you, ladies and gentlemen. And so what this came down to, this last game on Sunday, was a battle of the backup QBs, and the Rams clearly were deficient. Now, I've been warning McGenius that the Wolford is inadequate as a backup QB in the NFL. He should be running the scout team. If you love him so much, let him run the scout team. But to have him on deck behind the poltergeist, seeing the abuse that Pote has been taking this year behind that makeshift offensive line, the O-line shuffle, has been in full effect. And Matty from the D's been taking the walloping. And to have the Wolford on deck to step in as QB2 was a grievous error. I told you and McGenius, you need to promote Bryce Perkins to QB2, but he wouldn't hear of it. He was bound and determined on this course of action, which has led to where we are. It has been calamitous, my friends. And so now you see the offense is shot across the board. And what hope they had. Super Kupp accounting for about 35% of the Rams' total offensive output. Now, Soup is down and out. Gone with that high throw trying to get him killed. The mangy wolf has attacked and injured Soup. And so Soup is now on injured reserve. Surgery required. No point bringing him back this season. McGenius, the season is over. And so you could ask, well, what about the poltergeist himself? What about Matty from the D, Doctor Who? Well, maybe they'll bring him back, but I don't know why you even do that. And if he's determined to start the Wolford the rest of the way, the Rams may not win another game this year. Now, Bryce Perkins was promoted to QB2 with the poltergeist being in street clothes, concussion protocol. And he remains, as of this recording, the poltergeist does, in concussion protocol. And so Bryce Perkins, promoted to QB2, was allowed to make one throw. A little screen that ended up netting a negative 3 yards. He kept running. McGenius did. He kept running Bryce Perkins in on 3rd and long to take a direct snap and run like he's the Wildcat guy. Like he's a running back quarterback who cannot throw. This is what I've been talking about. Did you really think, McWonder, that using Bryce Perkins as a running back and letting the Wolford chuck it all around the yard was going to get you a victory? Oh, McG. But now I see. McG is bound and determined with McVay's proteges. See, he loves them. Did you see Stoney running all around? Did you see that pass bounced off those stone hands and get picked off? Interception? Poltergeist strike by the Wolford? Did you see it? Lance McCutcheon, who I've been calling for to be given a shot because he really, in my mind, represents the only deep threat the Rams have. He was dressed and did not play, didn't get a snap. Why, McWonder? I wonder. Won't you let Lance McCutcheon get some run? Well, now that soup is done, are you going to let him get some run now? Because if you're going to let him run with the Wolford, that mangy wolf, might attack him too. It's a sad, sorry state of affairs, Rams fans. And I hate to be the one to say I told you so, but I told you so. No. So we don't need to really go deep into any game analysis. You saw the ugly mess that was the game on Sunday. And honestly, I don't expect much more from him the rest of the way because McGenius is bound and determined to run with the Wolf. I'm pretty sure. So, another offensive line shuffle is on deck for this coming Sunday in New Orleans. Offensive lineman Alaric Jackson is out for the season now. So this will be the 10th offensive line combination in 10 games. Shuffling. The Rams are 4-point underdogs to the lowly New Orleans Saints, who themselves are 3-7. They are underdogs to the Saints, and deservedly so. I check the schedule. You know I do. I'm struggling to find where the Rams can get another win the rest of the way. They got New Orleans this Sunday in Louisiana, and they are most likely going down. The following week is KC. Don't stand a chance. The week after that, Seattle. I don't expect much from them against the Hawks. Finally, on Thursday night, a month from now, they get the Raiders. And the Raiders are a messy mess themselves. So maybe they could squeak one out then against them Raiders? I don't know. I wouldn't bet anything on it. They got Green Bay. At one time, I thought they could have plucked Green Bay. I do not any longer. Then Russ and them Denver Broncos. And hey, maybe, because Denver's messy, maybe you can get one there. And then they finish up with the LA Chargers, who will deal with them, I'm fairly certain. And the last game of the season in Seattle against the Hawks. And by then, they'll just be walking dead, zombies. And Seattle will most likely deal with them. So, at best, maybe a couple more wins the rest of the way. They got 9 games left. Maybe they get a couple, which finishes you at 5-12. Oh, how abysmal. Oh, how pathetic for the defending Super Bowl champions to go down to an ignoble title defense like this. I'm not going to give you the game analysis. You saw it all. It was ridiculous. It was ugly. At one point, both teams had 5 consecutive 3-and-outs. The Cardinals aren't any good, but hey, they're better than the Rams. They got a better backup quarterback and a better third-string quarterback than the Rams QB2, the Wolf. And so, this is how it ends for these fellas. There was this fool on social media I saw Sunday night. This fool is ranting and raving about fire Raheem. Blame Raheem. I'm like, see, these are your typical idiotic, delusional Rams fans. Misplaced blame. Scapegoating. They want to scapegoat Raheem, and I couldn't resist. I said, listen, Raheem and the defense has been near or about in the top 10 most of the season. It's not the defense that's the problem. It's that putrid-ass offense. It's McGee and all those bad decisions. Blame McGenius. Blame the Sneedster. Don't scapegoat Raheem. You know what the fool said? And I gave him the stats. I gave him the data. Last in rushing, last in yards per play, average, last. I gave him the stats. And you know what the fool said? Well, if the defense was that good, then the Rams should be able to win games 3-0. I'm like, okay, I'm dealing with an idiot. Be that as it may, I do want to take a quick look at the final numbers. Colt McCoy, Cardinals backup QB, 26 completions, 37 attempts for 238 yards and a touchdown. The Cardinals also ran the ball 26 times, only for 78 yards, but they got deep threat wide receivers. D. Hopkins. D. Hop had 10 receptions for 98, and Moore had 9 receptions for 94 more. And so they do have a threat at wide receiver, unlike LA. The stats for the team fairly close. If you go down the stat chart, the Cardinals had 40 or so more total yards. Passing yards, 30 or so more. Rushing yards, they only had about 12 more. 4.6 yards per play for the Cardinals. That ain't wonderful. The Rams, 4.3. They both had 18 first downs. Cardinals were at 33% on third down. Rams at about 24. Total plays, 65-60. Close. Cardinals allowed 2 sacks, Rams 3. They both had 5 punts each. But where it really turned were them turnovers. See, the Rams had 2 turnovers. And where were they? At quarterback. The Wolford threw a pick and also coughed up a fumble. Not to mention the fact that awful high throw to Super Kupp got him hurt. The mangy wolf attacked him and got him hurt. As for the Rams on offense, the Wolford QB, and the B stands for bum. 24 of 36, that's too many passes, 212 yards. He threw that late TD to the imaginary Van Jefferson when the game was out of reach, empty calories, and he had that awful interception. And Bryce Perkins was only allowed 1 throw, but they ran Bryce Perkins 3 times for 4 yards. See, he's not a running back. He's a quarterback who has running ability. What McGenius needs to do is use these last games to see what Bryce Perkins can really do. That would be smart. But do I expect McGenius to behave in such a sensible way? I do not. He's going to ride the wheels off the Wolford, and they won't probably win another game. The running game, pathetic as usual. Cam the Grill Akers, 6 carries, 22 yards, 3.7 yard average. Darrell Henderson didn't do much better. 6 carries, 21 yards, 3.5 yard average. He did score a touchdown. As for the receivers, well, you know McGenius loves that Higbee soup. Higbee soup is no more soup. McGenius. Higbee had 8 catches for 73 yards. He led the receiving corps. He's your tight end. Allen Robinson, A-Rob, a.k.a. Buster Brown, 4 catches for 44 yards. I was glad to see that the rook out of St. Louis, K. Williams, got a couple of 3 carries, got a couple of 3 catches. 3 catches for 30 yards to be exact. The imaginary Van Jefferson, 3 catches, 27 yards. Stoney. McGenius loves him some Stoney. 2 catches, 14 yards, and you saw one bounce off those stone hands. And so the offense has been centered and revolved around Soup. Soup, 3 receptions, -1 yard, and a Wolf attack that has probably ended his season. And so, as my main man, Red Fox, might say, this is a cesspool of messy fools. And McGenius and the Sneester are leading the way. And so, if you know anybody want to buy any Rams tickets, tell them to see me, because I don't want to go to any more games. This is atrocious. This is a poor excuse for football. Thanks, McGenius. You should have listened. You should have subscribed. You should have rang the bell. So it is clear to me the Rams have fallen and they cannot get up. So, until the next time, my friends, which may or may not be too much longer from this time, throw me one of these. Throw it to me now. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell like McGenius should have done. Ring the bell and subscribe so you'll be notified when I drop my next video. And until then, my friends, one love.